Hey guys, sorry for not posting in a while, I've just lost some motivation to post is all. Here is a video for you guys now. Okay, so this story time is by Jessica. Thank you Jessica for sharing this with me. Anyway, story time about this girl in my class who was a pick-me girl. Let's name this girl Leah. Anyways, Leah would seriously take all the mans in my class. So then there was this boy named was Kingston. He was new to our class, and in winter when I saw him he was so kind. Then Leah had a crush on him as well the day after I did, so then few months later I didn't have a crush on him anymore. Then when summer came he said I had a crush on him, but I was alone before my friends told me that. Then my friends called me and said Kingston said you liked him, do you? And I said not anymore. I did when he first came though. So we went up to him, and wanted to ask why he lied, but he just kept avoiding us. So we just admitted it, he was a jerk. Then Leah started dating him, and when they broke up Leah asked my friend Layla, why don't you date him? And I was like, girl, you just broke up with him, what the heck, that's the end.
Okay, so this story time is by TIK Stories. Okay, this is a story of my school, also not gonna say this person's name, so let's just call him Sean. He was in my class, and he was so incredibly annoying. I hate him more than I hate anyone. He's also a snitch, which makes it so much worse. One day me and my friends were singing and he snitched on us for being too loud, and we all showed you when we had been literally singing the whole time. We then started talking behind his back, but eventually we started to feel bad and stopped doing it. Like, it's true, the truth hurts. So one day he threatened us if he can't play with us he'd tell his mom, and his mom would get the principal to get us expelled. So we didn't talk to him for a day. The day after that he apologized and said it was just a joke. I didn't think it was a joke, and I still don't. So at the time he was new and he already been on red, aka in trouble for slapping my friend in the back and calling her a crybaby, even though she didn't cry. She only started crying when he slapped her in the back again. He even started crying even though she was the one who got hit. That boy makes me so annoyed. I'm so lucky I have a summer holiday so I didn't have to see him for 6 weeks. I still think he looks like a penguin even though I don't say it.
This story time is by FXNDOM Dreams. Let me tell you a story. Story time of how my best friend became a toxic traitor. So me and my friend had been friends for about 1 year. Then one day things started to get bad while I was playing Royale High in Roblox. Now, as you may know, if your friend is playing the game you want to, and you don't even join them, it still automatically puts you in their server. Okay, so I was playing Royale High and my friend accidentally joined me. I went on the phone in Royale High and texted her, laugh out loud, you joined me XD, and her words in return was it was an accident. Now before I mention anything else, I was with her since she was a bacon hair, and when she got her OBBY I congratulated her. Then a few days later something happened. I don't remember exactly what it was, but we started fighting. I was upset and sad. Then we both told each other how old we were. I was 2 years younger than her, and this has the audacity to say you're my age, which I won't say. So that was not the last straw. She said I was too young, and that's not all. We fought about a few more things too, but she doesn't matter anymore because she sucks. Anyways, I unfriended her because I didn't want to deal with her anymore, and then this had the audacity to send me a frequent request a week later. I accepted to give her another chance, but no, she was the worst, and this time I just didn't care anymore, so I unfriended her, and that's the last I heard from her. Also true story, her username is GIRLBY600 all caps.
Story time by Milk Tea. Anyways, story time on how my best friend almost lost my kitten. So a little background information, me and my best friend were super duper close. We've been friends for almost 6 years already. I like to believe in everything she said. Okay, so one day we went to a park and brought my kitten outside. I wanted to go to the bathroom, so I asked her to take my kitten for a bit. And my best friend was the kind of person who wasn't scared of anything, so she told me she wanted to put my kitten on the ground and let her walk around a little. I agreed cause I thought she would take care of it, which was a very bad idea. After I came back from the bathroom and went over to where she was, I didn't see her or my kitten anywhere. She was where little kids would climb and play. I went over to her and I didn't see my kitten. My heart dropped when I asked her where my kitten was. She said when she put my kitten on the ground, the kitten started running away and went in the playground area, so we started looking for my kitten. At that moment I really wanted to cry because after a long time of searching we couldn't find my kitten anywhere. All of a sudden a man dressed in a security outfit came up to us and asked if this was my cat. I was so happy and said yes, and I was able to get my kitten back.
Story time by fan of Hadis and Diki Sechkin. So story on how I met my idol. Like, met. Not like at a concert and watching from 100 feet away. No, I actually talked to her and met her in person. I don't know if she wants personal information online, so I'm calling her Elena. So I found out about Elena 4 years ago, only because my parents subscribed to this thing where they would get books and discs and other stuff like that, and one of Elena's discs were sent. I listened to it and let me tell you, I was obsessed. So my mom looked at Elena on YouTube Music or something, and I heard more of her songs. I even introduced my best friend to Elena's music and she loved it. I was in first grade. Soon after I started having dreams about her and I badly wanted to meet her after that. So my mom looked at Elena's website, and showed me her contact email. I was shaking as I told my mom what to write and then send. After a month goes by and no reply from my favorite singer. I remember being in the pool and my mom calling me saying Elena responded to my email. I freaked out as I read her email. Soon enough I asked my mom if Elena had any concerts. My mom looked at her website and there were concerts, but mostly in New York, but my mom did see a concert in California, but my mom frowned as we're going to Canada at the time. I begged my mom to cancel the trip to Canada but she said no. Also, not to mention she was pregnant with my little brother at the time, so we couldn't really go where we want, which was a 15-hour flight. The trip to Canada was pretty fun, but the day of the concert came around and I was pretty salty I didn't get to go. Skip forward after the trip, my mom checked to see if there were any more concerts and there was in California, only about an hour from where I lived. But there was a catch to it. I had to wait 3 months and my impatient second grade self thought that was forever. I remember the day before the concert, it was Friday, man was I excited. So the next day was probably the most exciting day of my life. I woke up early and when it was time to go, I was overjoyed. My best friend was coming too and I was super happy. We drove to San Francisco, and my mom and dad were arguing where to park, when my dad said, "Hey, isn't that Elena?" I looked around and sure enough it was. I got out of the car just to realize how shy I was. I held my mom tight and when we approached Elena she said hi, and she asked if I could give her a high five. I was just too shy. Elena then went to change and when my best friend arrived Elena was done changing. My friend also talked to her. The concert was awesome but my ears were literally bleeding because I was sitting a foot away from her and her loud microphone. After the concert me and my friend took pictures. It was so magical. Now 4 years later I'm in 6th grade laughing at myself for being so shy and having to meet my new idol Iki Sechkin. Me and my friend both lost interest in Elena about a year after the concert. I still sent her some emails, though the last one I sent was a year ago, and about 3 months I commented on her YouTube saying, "You might not remember me but I met you 4 years ago." I still think about her and I will never forget her.
Storytime by She Is Amazing. So I think this has just happened 3 weeks ago. So I was about 14 and turning 15 since my birthday was in 1 month. Then I had 2 friends, let's just call them Kate and Maya. So I came over to Maya's house. Then I said, "Hey Maya, I'm going to host a sleepover." Then she was on the phone calling someone saying, like, "Dude, she's so annoying and I wish I was never her friend," and stuff like that. So then 5 days later I couldn't stop remembering that moment. It was so awkward. I went to Kate's house and said the same thing. Then she turned to me and stares at me looking like she's mad at nothing. I asked her what was wrong and she shouted, "You fake friend, I hate you." I just asked what made her betray me. Then she kicked me out of her house. And I was like, she's also a fake friend. Then one night Maya and Kate came over to my house in the morning at 10:30 a.m. They looked pretty angry and they asked, "Sorry guys, that's all this person wrote, but they said to come back for part 2, so hopefully they'll make a part 2.
Story time about how my best friend started seeing my mom. So we're gonna call my best friend Joey. Joey and I had been best friends since we were 4 years old, and my family was really close with his and vice versa. And she had always been really nice to him, of course because he was a family friend and he was my best friend. Well, one day I thought that she liked him a little bit more than she liked me. She would always ask the weirdest questions. Like, oh, is Joey single? Or what's Joey's sexuality? Like, sis had a whole ass husband. But at the time, I didn't think anything of it because I just thought that she really wanted him and I to date. But when he turned 15, things started getting a little bit weirder. Like sometimes he would go over my house right after school, even when I wasn't there to hang out with my mother. And usually the only time he was at the house was whenever him and I were hanging out. Well, the one day I walked in and they were both sitting on the couch talking. And when they both saw me, they acted like nothing was wrong with it. Part 2 about how my best friend started seeing my mom. So like I said, the one day I come home after school and they're both sitting on the couch already talking. And they look at me and say hi as if nothing was wrong with the situation. And then after that, Joey started mentioning how my mom was so hot. And I was like, yeah, no, she's pretty, but that's it. Well, the one day my mom left for work earlier than she usually does. So I messaged my dad and asked him if he wanted to hang out. So of course he said yes, and 5 hours later I came home and I go upstairs. And I'm just like, so I go up and I open the door. And because I don't want this video to get taken down, you guys probably can guess what I saw. So I ran out of the room, ran downstairs. I start panicking. And Joey came and hugged me and said, I'm sorry, me and your mom just love each other. So I told them both they were absolutely disgusting. So then my mom starts crying and begging me to forgive her. And now I live with my dad.
Storytime of why you should always beware that your closest friend could be your worst enemy. A woman named Naomi was walking home alone from work. She was right across her house when she noticed somebody was following her. It was late at night, so she couldn't see what this person looked like, but she noticed that they had their face covered. All of a sudden, she felt a splash of some sort of liquid on her face. Immediately, she starts screaming and ran towards her house and starts banging on the door for her uncle to open since they lived together at the time. As she's banging on the door, she's screaming that her face is burning. Somebody had thrown acid on her face, which permanently disfigured her. Her uncle called the police and an ambulance came to take her to the hospital. They asked Naomi if she knew anybody that would want to do something like this to her. Surprising enough, she said her friend Mary of 10 years had said she wanted to throw acid on her one time when they fell out. When they questioned Mary, she claimed she didn't remember saying that to Naomi. While Naomi was in the hospital, Mary was texting her acting concerned, so it can possibly be her. Until police noticed something on CCTV footage. The person with their face covered who attacked Naomi was holding a purse that looked exactly like the purse that Naomi's friend always carried around. Part 2 of why you should always be aware that your closest friend could be your worst enemy. After noticing on CCTV footage that Naomi's attacker who threw acid on her face was holding a handbag that looked exactly like her friend Mary's, they took Mary back into custody and got a warrant to search her home. In the home, they found the bag, and the bag had damages that were similar to damages made with acid on that kind of material. They found out that Mary did this to her friend because Naomi called her ugly one time, and Mary took that personally. Mary knew that Naomi had dreams of joining the beauty industry. She was and still is a beautiful girl. That one time they fell out, Mary became friends with Naomi again just to get close to her, just to throw acid on her face because she was jealous of her. She premeditated this attack on her friend. Mary never wanted to admit that she did it. She claimed Naomi threw the acid on her own face. Obviously, the judge did not believe that and sentenced Mary 12 years in prison. Ever since the attack, Naomi felt as if she couldn't ever be seen as normal again. She says whenever she goes out in public, people react to her face, which reminds her of what she looks like. It took her a while to gain back her self-esteem, but now she has amazing friends who always remind her of how beautiful she is.
Thinking about you, and I think I have to listen because the sun is up, it's a beautiful day. My beginning will be as bright as the sun. Come, won't you come along? And it feels so bright, it's like luck is raining on me. Go and follow your heart, doesn't matter how far.